So good evening everyone. Thank you very much for joining me at this time in this tutorial. I, Gaurav Kumar Jain, welcome you all on this amazing and beautiful channel named Geeks for Geek School. First of all, before diving into the platform and explaining you about how can you develop a very beautiful tiles game using Python on PyCharm, I would first like to thank all the students who are regularly liking and sharing the videos in the groups and making us popular day by day. Thank you so very much for all your efforts, for all your love that you're showing us by sharing our videos and liking them also. And second thing which I would like to tell you is there are students who have some issues in the coding which we have explained, which I have covered till now, right? Related to Python app development, Python game development. So you can put your queries in the chat box so that I can see your queries and I can reply to them, I can solve them, I can provide you with the solution part. Thank you very much. And now as I've told you, so we are going to develop a very amazing game today, and it's the name of that game is Tiles game, right? Full name of that game is Tiles Number. It's a number swapping game that we are going to develop today. And again, we'll be using the same modules that we used yesterday. So from turtles, I would like to import everything. So how can we do that? We just have to write from turtle, and then we can make use of this keyword import, right? And then we can put an asterisk because we want to import everything from turtle. So asterisk is for importing everything. Then we can make use of this random named function. From random we can import, again we need to import everything. Then the third module that we require is this free games module. So from free games I would like to import two things. One is the floor value, which I generally use for, which we generally require for rounding off the final answer. So floor value, and then we need to make use of this vector for drawing the grids. Now it's time for us to define a set. So I would like to define an empty set. Tiles is the name of the variable in which I have stored this empty set. Then we can have this name, again another variable with name neighbors, right? And let's do one thing, let's use it as a list, and inside this list we can have these vectors with these coordinates. So vectors, and then we can put the we can use the tuples, right? I think that is going to be a good option if you use tuples. So vector, this is vector 1, then again that's the second vector which I'm defining. So for that again we are going to have some different coordinates. Then vector, this is the third one, 0, 100. Okay, and that's the fourth one, 0, minus 100. Okay, so we are done with defining this neighbors named variable. Now it's time for us to define the functions that we require for creating the game. So the first function that I would like to create is this load named function, which I am going to make use of for loading the tiles and the scramble. Fine. So def load, then we can make use of this variable count for keeping a check on the count. So count, I'm initializing it with 1, right? For y in range. Now it's time for us to define the range. So minus 200, 200 and 100 is going to be our range. Why I have used these values? Because I have already developed this game, so I know what is the exact value I need to put in this range over here. And how you will come to know about these values if you will keep on experimenting with the codes which I am giving you. If you will experiment something on this code, if you do suppose you just try to change the value from 100 to 50, and here you can make it minus 50 to 0 and so on. So you can do some experiment, and those experiments will teach you a lot. Definitely you are going to learn many things from those experiments that you will do on this code. So if you will not experiment on these things, simply you'll put this whole thing in the in the text editor, definitely you will get the output, but you will not be able to learn anything. Fine, we are not here here to memorize the things, we are here to understand the things, right? If you don't know about why I have used this code, so you can check the previous tutorial of mine. Definitely that will help you in understanding why I'm putting all these things over here. So now it's time for us to define the tiles position. So tiles mark, then we can put it equal to the count, right? And now once one tile gets placed, I would like to get the count value incremented by 1. So that's how we can do it, right? It's very easy. Then it's time for us to again use this tiles mark. Fine, and let's initialize it with none. You remember I used this code in the previous tutorial. So if you'll check it over there, definitely you'll find the reason why I use this code. So then for count in range, again we need to define a range. So let's define a range of 1000. Fine, and then we can have this neighbor named variable. We can use this neighbor named variable. I think it's neighbor, yeah. Let me change this spelling to Bors. Just a second, I have to. For count in range 1000, this is perfectly fine. Now for x in range, we already have defined these for nested loops. We have this mark, then tiles, then count, and then we have defined this tiles mark. We have this for loop now, so it is going to go till this range. For this range it will work. Then we can have this variable named neighbor, so it is again a new variable that I'm using for storing the choices. So choice, and we can get the choices from this neighbors named variable which we defined earlier. So it's an we defined it right on the top over here, if you remember. Okay, so now it's time for us to define the spot. So I would like to see the spot at this point, mark plus neighbor, right? Okay, now once the spot is there, let's check if the spot is in tiles or not. So that's how we can do it. That's how we can check whether the spot is in the tiles or not. So if it is in the tiles, I would like to do this, number is equal to tiles, and then we can put this spot over here, right? And then we can put this tiles spot. So if we need to first put this tile spot is equals to the number, then tile spot is equals to what? Is equals to none, right? That is absolutely right. Okay, and after that it's time for us to swap the values. So tiles, fine, and then we can use this mark is equals to number. So that's how we can use the swap. We can swap the values using a temporary variable. So number, first the value of this tile spot will come in this number, then none will become the tiles dot spot. Tile spot we will make it equal to none, and tiles mark will assign it the value of this variable named number, right? Okay, now let's change the value of mark. So I'm changing it to spot. Fine, it's time for us to define another function. So let's make use of something like square. I think that is going to be a good option. Mark and number are the two parameters I would like to pass to this function. Now why we are using this function? For drawing white square and black outline and number, right? That's why we are using this function. So I would like to first define this up function, and then as you guys know very well that after up what comes, go to function comes after up. And what are the two parameters we need to pass to this go to function? So we can pass mark.x and mark.y. I usually use it when I use free games for developing Python games. Then we can use this down variable. It's time for us to use this color. So I would like to see black and a combination of black and white. I think that is going to be a good option, right? Okay, let's make use of begin fill. We are using this function after a very long time here, right? I remember I used it in the very first lecture. After that I used it in the second and third, but now I think I'm using it today after a long time. Then we can have this again for loop for count in range. This time we are going to keep a short value for this range. Let's make it 4, right? Because it's a square, we are working 4, right? So that's the reason 4 I have put over here. Why? Because square has 4 sides. So we can make use of this forward command for making the pointer move forward in forward direction. So it will move 99 steps forward, and then it will turn 90 steps to the left, and finally we can end this fill, right? Just give me a short moment. I think I got disconnected from the internet. Let me see if everything is working fine or not. Okay, at my end everything is going fine. Is my OBS Studio also connected to the internet? Let me check it once. Just hold on for a moment. I will be right back, and I would also like to check the comment section. If I have anything to answer, definitely I will answer that query also. Okay, it's showing that I am live. Sheikh Rizwan is with me. Okay, so Sheikh Rizwan, what you can do here, you can check out the previous tutorial to get to know what all we have covered till now. And also if you want to learn something more, we have for you different things on this platform. Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and understand this code further. So once you're done with ending this fill, you can make use of this if control statement. If number is none, then what should if number is none, then what should happen? That's what we have to now code for. So I would like to return some value. So we can return true. Else what we can do, we can ask the function to check this condition. Okay, we need to make use of elif because it's the second condition that we want to check. So if elif if number else if the number is smaller than 10, then what should happen? I would like the pointer to move forward by, let's say, 20 steps ahead. Okay, that will be fine. Then we can make the that cursor write this thing number, and I would like to have this font equal to, and let's make it Arial. I think Arial is going to be a good option, and font size is going to be 60, and we are going to keep a normal font. So that's how we can keep a normal font. Okay, so it is perfectly fine, I think. Yep. Now it's time for us to define another function. So let's make use of this tap function, x comma y we can put over here, and then we can simply this function is for identifying the point where the user will tap. So x is floor, and then x comma 100 we can use. Similarly, we can make use of another variable floor, and then y comma 100 we can use, and then we can use this mark named variable which we used earlier. So vector, we can define x comma y, right? Now for this neighbor, in neighbors, let's have a for loop for this neighbor in neighbors. Just a second, let me put a colon over here. We can find out the spot at the on which the user has clicked. So mark plus neighbor, right? Okay, it's good to go. Now it's time for us to check something. If, and what we need to check, if spot in tiles and tiles spot, right, is none or not. If it is none, then what should happen? This thing should happen. Number should become equal to tiles mark, right? And again, we are using the swapping method. We are trying to, what we are doing, we are swapping the values, spot, and we can have number over here. And simply now it's time for us to call this square named function which we created earlier, and we can pass this spot and number as a parameter to this function. Tiles, we can have this mark, right? Tiles mark, we can put this equal to none, right? And now we can use this square, fine, and mark, again we can put it equal to none. I think that will do. Let's now define the last and the final function. So it's for drawing the whole thing. So it's for drawing all the tiles, right? Okay, so the first thing we need to make use of is this for loop for mark in tiles. It's very simple. We just have to make use of this for loop, and simply we have to call this square function, then mark comma tiles, and inside this we can have this mark, right? And then we need to update everything. So how to update everything? We can call this update function for updating everything. That's it. Now it's time for us to define the final codes. So the first one is the setup code, and I'm going to make use of the same coordinates, 420, and then we can have this 370 and 0, right? Then we can hide the turtle, and then we can call this tracer. We can make, I don't want to make it true, I would like to make it false. As always, let's load the output, and we can use this draw function now for drawing everything. Then on screen click can be used for identifying the point the user is going to tap on, and then finally we can use this done function, right? So we are done with coding this entire game. Let's now run this code and see whether we are going to get the right output or not. So I'm waiting for the screen. Okay, so I'm able to see this beautiful screen over here, and the numbers are also coming in the tiles. If I'll click on this number, okay, 15, fine. So everything is working fine. See how beautiful it is looking, right? If you'll enlarge the window, that's what you will get as an output, and if you'll minimize it, if you will, restore it, so that's what you will get. Okay, so it's looking amazing right now. Fine. So that's how you can make use of this simple code, this simple 70 line of codes, right, for making this amazing tile scheme. Let me tell you again what all things I have done. So I've imported everything from turtle and random module. I've used this free games module and using this floor and vector function. I created a grid kind of thing. Then that's the load function, which is going to help us in loading the tiles on the screen. That's the square function, with the help of which we can get the square shaped tiles. and that's the function with the help of which we can get the coordinates. The user is going to tap on coordinates of the point, the user will tap on. Then draw function for drawing the tiles, and finally these lines of code will help us in loading the game and checking out the output. So that's it from my side. Hope you guys enjoyed this lecture a lot. Thank you very much for being there with me in this tutorial. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye everyone, take care, and bye bye.